Hey, what's up, everybody? You are watching On the Town with Tanya, and I am your host. Thank you so much for taking the time and coming back again this week. We appreciate you. So tonight's guest is a former foster, but he's more known as a professional speaker, author, foster care and adoption advocate. He's a recording artist, columnist, and the host of Bathroom Moments on 360 TV. And he shares his story of 21 mothers and how to tell your story via his coaching. Please welcome the lovely Loren Michaels Harris. Hey.
Lovely. Oh my goodness.
Everybody's
That's the first. I'll take it. Yeah, I will.
You take lovely.
Look, you go doggone Skippy. I will. I'm almost 60. I've never woken, and there's been a line of people at my door waiting to say great things like you just did. So of course I take it. Nice to be here, Tanya. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you. How are you doing first off?
Awesome, blessed, highly favored, all those things, and a bag of chips.
Okay, that's awesome. So so I watched your Comcast, and it was actually quite powerful.
Girl, wait. I am not a cable company, y'all. You said my Comcast.
I said Comcast. Wait.
Goldcast.
Goldcast. Oh, shame on me. Shame on me. Okay, so I apologize. I know. Thank you for the correction, though.
I know. That's okay. Look, I'm a help.
Ding that bell for correction. Thank you.
No, just breathe into it. I don't know what you'd be thinking, y'all. I'm just like the rest of everybody else. We all the same here. We one big happy family. Yeah. So, anything that's going to try to get in the way of the message tonight, we're just going to, some people say rebuke something. I say we can banish it. Whatever it is, we send it away from here because you know what? Those things have been getting in our way since the very first day we were here. So we've made it this far. We'll make it through this hour. So Is everybody good with that? Are you good with that, Tanya?
Oh, yes, actually, yes.
Okay, so let's just keep it going. And, if things stumble and don't seem to be just perfect, that's life. Yeah. Let's get the story out there because we're foster alumni. We know how to pivot.
That's where we were going to go with this. Yeah. So I know you do all these great things now. And you're a speaker, life coach. Speaking coach, correct?
Well, yeah. It's just like I work with people just like you, people who are navigating. Well, okay. Not people who are trying to start a new business, and that's I'm not that kind of coach. Right. I work with people who are already inside of their divine purpose, navigating it. They're aware of it. They're using their gifts, but they are ready to take that to that ascension to another level. Okay. And so I have a specific gift that I work with people who are specifically ready for that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So you how did you find your gift is really the truth, because like you said, we're both foster alum. I'd want to know more about your experience in foster care and how that translated into your story that became your power, actually.
Yeah, you're right, because that's the very first time I told that story, and it was actually 22 mothers. That's the Goldcast video, which has and as of January, let's say a lot, thousands, millions of views. Yes. And it was the first time that came from the night I got up and told that story, said it out loud for the first time. And it gave me back my power instantly, because I had been living like it was shame or, some tarp of shame. And that's what that night, that story, Goldcast found it. And look at what it's doing. So I guess what I can say is how I found it by, instead of covering up all my scars and buttoning them up, and it was like I was walking through life. Might as well have been a beekeeping suit, beekeeper suit. Everything is covered. I didn't want anything to be seen. I was ashamed of everything that was me. But I learned through that experience that, once I took that suit off and I honored my scars, I started seeing that they had a story with them right behind it. There was it had a voice, and it was the story that the scar represents. See, scars represent something, a story. They tell the story. They're the mouth. Right. So I found my voice piece.
Wow. Tell me about, I know you have a belief that we're all a part of the ripple effect. Tell us about that.
Well, the ripple effect is just like, the ripple effect. You throw a pebble in water You see the circles go out.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people think they understand that theory, the ripple effect. Okay, if I do something, it's going to affect other people.
Right.
But that's true. But somehow people seem to picture the ripple going directly at something they pointed it towards. And that's true because, when you throw a pebble in, it lands where you throw it, but the ripples go out in a circle around it. So it's not just, there's no way to see that whole thing. Our eyes can't focus on the entire circle as it grows, the ripple. So we're looking at the part of the ripple that is in front of our eye line, our sight line. So if I'm looking this way, I see the ripple moves that way. If I turn this way, I can see that part of the ripple that goes that way. Or if I turn this way, I can see that part of the ripple. But none of us can see the whole circle of the ripple at one time. Our eyes don't allow it. And neither, there's no way. So the thing is, everything we do is going in a direction around us. And so you want to create the kind of a ripple through your purpose, your walk in this world that blesses whatever it touches. If you don't, then you're subscribing to what I refer to as human sacrifice. Because if you're just doing things that aren't to help people, they're not to service people, it's hurting people, it's discouraging people, whatever it is that's not part of a positive element,
right?
You're doing it without caring what it is doing to others. And to me, that's human sacrifice. You don't care how it makes people end up.
Right.
So the ripple effect is what makes you say that everything that comes out from me must be something that is an anointed experience.
Okay. And how did you, because we all have our moments and it takes a while for us to process all the stuff that has happened to us to turn it into something good. How did you come up with all of this? That was it just through life experience and going through it all and then looking back, or did you have someone to mentor to you? How did you come to helping other people find their gift?
Well, first of all, you can't, I'm writing it down because I don't want to get it wrong. And turn it into this. When you said, how did you turn it into this? I didn't turn anything into anything. The thing was, listen, now, especially us Foster alumni, we've gone through some stuff, all of us. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to describe it. Just because we're under that, we're in that, that's a family birthright. Let's put it that way. That knowingness. We shouldn't have to describe all the gory details. And that's why I'm glad the Goldcast video got it out of my system. Because I don't have to lead with that. Woo, what happened to me? Because I bless all those things now, Tanya. I bless every one of those things that I experienced. Every one of them. Why? Because one reason is they led me to you.
Right.
So I bless them because they led me to you. If that ain't enough, then what is?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So what I mean is all the rubble that is trauma. When you realize how powerful you are to have made it to where you are right now, then you really have what it takes to go back to those places that we ran out of because we thought I want to get out of here just as quickly as possible. Now you come back a different person. Lift that door up where trauma kicked it in. Lift that door up, and underneath there you're going to see, a gift, a blessing, a birthright that has your name on it, that came at the same time at the trauma. It was delivered at the same time. The FedEx truck came at the same time the other truck with the crap came. But the door fell on top of it. But what is greater than knew you come back stronger, or able to lift that door now. You might not have even been able to lift that door when you ran out of there. But when you come back, you're ready to lift that door and pick your blessing up. It's been waiting for you all along. And that's the moral of the story. Right. Because I couldn't have known back then when it happened that it was going to help shape me into this person I need to be now. So you bless everything. And that's what purpose does.
Now, so when you're working with someone for motivational speaking, what do you do? Do you look for their talents and gifts and bring them out, or do you look for a specific, is there specific targets you look for that you can help mold into better, that equates better to when they're speaking? I'd love to know how you're able to shape put people into shape. Actually,
well, yeah. Let me just put it like this: people come You know, like when you say, that's the thing about titles. Oh, I'm this kind of coach, or I'm that kind of coach. You know, I just say I'm a message discovery coach
Mm.
because I don't help. Some people they used to come to me thinking they wanted to be a motivational speaker. And they found out they were a great television host. They found out they were a great author. They found out they were a great MC. They found out that they were meant to build a great nonprofit. They found out that they were about social change and are going more into the political field. It is not about, see, as long as you are dedicated to getting your message wherever it needs to be, you are able to change and morph from one thing that you thought it was always going to be into the thing that you now see. I never would have seen that coming, but I like it. And you step right into it. Because I believe purpose gets us started, but, you know, we have to be willing to evolve into things we could have never imagined back when we first started, because the world changes.
Yes.
We surprise ourselves. Others bring things that surprise us. And when you're doing it right, you know, things can move pretty quickly in your life. So what I like to work with people in is just understanding you don't have to find your purpose. You just have to discover where you left it.
Wow. Discover where you left it. That's deep. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So do you get a lot of former foster youth, or do you work mostly with corporate of all types of clients?
I work with people.
Okay.
I work with people, you know, but it's like this. It's like when foster stories find their way into my world, it's like it feels like a family member, like you found a new a distant cousin or something. It's like some form of a family reunion. It's a fraternity, it's a sorority, it's a kindred, kinship. You know what I'm saying? It just is. And I'm grateful for it. Do you remember when you used to be ashamed?
Yes.
You would move someplace. You want kids at the public school to know you were a foster kid and, you know, all that stuff. But today,
yes,
it's a banner.
Yes.
You know, just like if you were a veteran.
Yes. Well, we step into it at some point. That's if we get the healing, because I think that piece of the therapy and finding out, you know, what worked and what didn't, and compartmentalizing all those various things that happen, the trauma, is very important to getting to the next step. You know, because a lot of people I've seen, they're doing maybe great things in their career, but they still are stuck in some areas because they didn't get the therapy piece. I believe that's even if it's not therapy, some form of getting it all out.
Well, you said it right when you first open your mouth. You said healing.
Healing.
And it is healing. But the thing about it is, healing is the one thing that should never end.
Right. Exactly.
Healing should never end. And that means even if I heal completely, I really haven't, because I can heal more every time I show someone else how to heal.
Right.
So give the healing away. And every time you do, you heal even beyond. You know, why do you think people put on blemish creams and stuff? Yeah, the burn healed, the skin healed, but I want that discoloration to heal. You know, it depends on how much you're willing to buff. You see a watermark on that table you paid good money for. You can either put a coaster on top of it, or you can put some pledge every now and then, or you can go get that good oil, that English stuff, and start getting it to get down in it.
Right.
Bring it back to its original luster. It depends on what you're willing to live with.
Have you
Because it's all about how committed one person is, or the next, to doing your best. The 4 agreements. Always do your best. So if your best is putting a coaster on it, that's good enough. You might not be able to move. You might have an ailment or some infirmity or something. But if your best is that's good enough. But if it's not your best, then it isn't. Period.
Wow.
That's how you get to where you were designed to be.
Yes. And that, I do think everybody has a divine purpose.
Everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's here by accident? Nobody.
I agree with that. I definitely agree. And that's kind of what I try to help foster youth find as well. What is your purpose? Because once you find that and you know there is one, it kind of changes everything, shifts everything instantly. To
Sometimes you have to know it before you have proof.
mm,
That's why there's faith. You have to know it. And if
mm,
you, and the thing is, that's why we can't look at other people like when we were those kids and say, oh, I wish I had that house. Or I
mm,
wish I had a dad like that. Because a lot of them had stuff going on worse than we had
right.
because they didn't expect the monster to be in the house with them and no one know. We got to learn to expect it if
Right.
it showed up. So who was better off, actually? We
Right.
were.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Some of them couldn't get away.
Yes. That's a fact. I was
Right.
talking to someone the other day about that. I said we were talking about people being able to sense when people are bad or good, and me and my friend agreed that foster youth are the best at instinct. And so
Oh, yeah.
it's a cursed blessing, especially when we've moved so much or
Yeah.
have moved so much, because we really do know 5 seconds we can read somebody. Just read them like, oh no, I don't trust this person, or yeah, and it really serves you if you know how to use it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And using it is trusting it.
Yeah.
Your first mind actually is created to what you believe to be greater than you.
Mm.
It's that other category that we're warned about. If you don't follow your first mind, you're going to go to the second thing. And
Mm.
that's why that's called second guessing. And
Right.
you cannot guess yourself into legacy.
No.
You cannot guess yourself through purpose.
Mm.
You cannot guess yourself into history.
Mm.
You can't. You have to choose. You must be purposeful. Everything you mean becomes meaningful.
Mm. Wow. That's,
Period.
wow. Tell us about the Power of We Symposium that's coming up
Mm,
in April, right?
yes,
Mhm.
April 28th.
Tell us about that.
Power We Symposium. Wow. Power We Symposium
Yes.
was a gift that I just, it helped solidify in my spirit the truth behind that promise that says, come as you are.
Hmm.
Because I was coming off of my very first event in Las Vegas.
Hmm.
Um, and I'd been speaking for a couple of years and was doing well with that. And it was time for bigger stages.
Hmm.
And I partnered with some marketers, and it was not integrally woven together, let's say. And I didn't know that because, I'm kind of the one who came. It was in their backyard in Las Vegas, and I came in from Chicago. Anyway, got through it. My people got in. I was able to deliver the value that I had promised through my program, which is when people work with me, they do the work. I provide the stages for them to get that work in front of the world. And so I protected them there and got out, but it was such a horrible experience. We were on the plane leaving, and I said, I'm going under this headphone. I said to my husband, Brian, he's like, why? I said, because I'm about to go have a conversation with God. I need him to remove this horrible taste. I need some spiritual Listerine.
Mm.
The taste of what just happened in Las Vegas, I want it removed from my spirit. I don't like it. And when we were about to land in Chicago, I whipped those headphones off and I said, guess what? He said, what? I said, he gave it to me.
Mm.
They gave it to me. He goes,
Mm.
what? I said, I don't know, but it's going to be called the Power of We Symposium. And
Oh,
the next day, I went downtown to Chicago and met a woman named Chera Stan, who has the Stan Mansion, and went through there and put a deposit down for 6 months in advance. And the Power of We Symposium the first one is 2018. We service 250 inner city kids. This year it'll be 285 inner city leaders. Yeah, total sponsorship. They don't pay a penny. They come and they get loved up on, and we celebrate with them. It's at a mansion. They have catered breakfast or catered lunch. They hear great speakers. They bring great speakers. We have great conversations, and it's a great way to honor young people and give them a place where they are respected and what they say matters. And lots of relationships are forged there, mentorships, a lot of internships for work and connections in corporate America. We have great speakers. We have Wally Green this year. He's a professional table tennis champion, U.S. table tennis champion from New York City. from the projects, and he went from being a gang member to being a top table tennis player in the world. He's there. Some of the people from the show Queens on Hulu can be there. One of them is Donovan Vernon. Wonderful, classically trained pianist. We've got the Chicago Soul Children's Choir with Dr. Walt Whitley, Grammy-winning choir there, and these kids are Google them. I'm just telling you, they are like diamonds in the city of Chicago. These kids, they've gone on to American Idol, to The Voice. They're one of the little girls, and she was at the first Power Week, Charisma. She's doing great things. She's in got the lead in the Chicago production of The Lion King right now. And these kids, doing great things. So we just love up on them, and the community comes, and great speakers, and it's just a wonderful time. April 28th at the Stan Mansion. If you want more information,
yes,
get to my website and powerwesymposium.com. Find out all about it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. That's going to be so awesome. And now are the kids, is it foster youth, or is it foster youth and any
it's all kids,
all kind of kids?
That's all kids.
Good for you.
Because they're foster kids just because they weren't in the system.
Right, exactly.
They still lived what we lived. Some of them, it was worse because they're kids that went out and fetched for themselves. That were that runaways and stuff. Yeah. Right. They weren't in the system, but they had to get out of the same kind of things that we were in. So I look at all kids. It's just like when you say, "Oh, they were special needs." They called me special needs because I moved so much. They say special needs. Well, every kid is special.
Right.
It has needs. So what you trying to say?
Right. That's a truth. That's a fact. So tell me about your first single from the album, No Fences.
Oh,
yeah.
No Fences. I wrote when see, I got it back there. See that right there?
Yes, right there. Yes.
That's the Supreme Court decision for marriage equality. And I'm gay and I'm married. I love my husband, Dr. Brian. Yes. He's a therapist. Oh, that sure paid off. It paid me a lot of money. So I always knew it was going to either be one of them or a plastic surgeon because I was most likely going to need both. But I'm kidding. But my best friend too, and it's like it's just like when we have Black History, whatever, and I think about Sojourner Truth or Martin Luther King or any number of the people who sacrificed more than just time and money. They sacrificed blood, and they sacrificed family, and they sacrificed life in them in many cases. And so when that happened, my album is based on Turn It Around project is all about journey music. That was the deal that came along to do this album. When God knew I was going to need a way for him to pour into me, even when I didn't feel worthy of being poured into. And so songs would come out, and they were messages to me or observations of what was happening around me in many cases. And I used them as that surfboard that I rode through that storm, right on out of question and right on in to answer and purpose. That's what I did. I wrote it, and I'm going to stay on it as long as he'll let me. So I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying? Nothing is ever about just one thing.
No, it's
never.
Not.
Count it all joy, just like they tell us to. I mean, it's about purpose. I
love this bell of purpose. I love the bell. So I saw that some of the portion of the proceeds are to benefit the Orlando Victims Fund.
Oh yeah. Because of the that's because of the shooting at the club and all that. I try to do things that just keep some trickle of hope into reminding people to never forget. So that was a great way. Every time one of those is sold, some of that goes there just to and mainly to remind me. Anything that when people lose their lives for a mess, okay, let's say, remember right this past Christmas, you may have heard about it in Waukesha, Wisconsin, when that guy drove the car down through the Christmas parade thing, and those kids were killed and stuff. I spoke at that school. And as soon as it happened, I was like, I wonder if those were any of the kids that were in the audience when I was there. And you can't help but just think, and you're like, it really brings it home about the work that we each do every day in the world. And that means the smile you give a stranger, or the conversation you give a family member, or just, that tree you plant, or that wave you throw, whatever it is you do that helps pour a feeling of something good into something or someone else, is enough. And we need more of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I used to say that, and I still say that, especially I remember as a kid, a young foster kid, that I remember the adults that gave a warm smile, or just a little hello. They didn't even have to say much. I remembered every last one of them, and I remember the ones that ignored me. I never forgot it. And so I think it's important for us to always, you never know what someone's going through, and especially young people. So I always say, enter with a smile and try to be kind, because you don't know what someone's situation is. You never know. Suicide, homicide, you never know what they're thinking. So kindness is everything.
It is.
I
Miss Tanya Cooper. Bravo. Yeah. Yes, it is.
Everything. I wanted to play your video of your speaking. Would you mind if I played it?
No, I don't mind at all. It's
awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I got it queued up for once. I think
that's sweet of you.
Once I think I'm really ready. So guys, if you haven't checked it out, I want you to check this out, because when I tell you powerful speaking, that's it. This is it. Okay. So we're going to check this out, and then we'll be back in a moment. So it's about 5 minutes, right? 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh, this is the Goalcast?
Yes. It's about.
Yeah. Somewhere in there.
Okay. So you don't mind? Okay.
No,
so here
right here.
We're going to share the screen, and let's see. What does that mean? Oh, something just happened here. Something that was not good. Oh, here it is. Okay, I got it. I was, since I've been practicing. Here we go. Let's see.
On July 4th, 1962, I found myself in the lost and found of mankind. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that it wants to be there. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that the person who lost it doesn't care for that lost item. And just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that someone will ever come to claim it. I am only one child, but in total, there were 22 mothers. 22 individual women who saw something totally different from the other each and every time they looked at me. 22 different faces that I would either squeeze with all my might to remember in times of pain, heartbreak, or misery, or to push away with all my might to forget. Mother number one, well, she fulfilled her initial duty of escorting me into this life, of keeping me safe for 3 weeks, of nurturing me for just as long as she could. Mother number one entrusted me to mother number two. Mother number two, well, she fulfilled her initial duty of caring for me as if I were her own. She raised me for the next 11 years in an environment that was filled with love, security, and hope for a brighter tomorrow. She intended with all her heart to return me one day to mother number one when the time was right. But where love for me grew deeper by the second, well, that right time never came. I believe she would have made better choices had she known that she would unexpectedly depart this world without having made any provisions for my return to mother number one. I believe she would have died all over again from a broken heart had she seen me handed off to mothers 3 through 22, courtesy of the roulette underworld, otherwise known as the state foster system. During my 5 years of bouncing throughout the foster system, I became more and more lost. By year 5, I was acutely aware that the loss of my family, my home, my name, and my entire world as I had known it was nothing compared to what I could lose if I did not decide soon, and very soon, to better deal with my existence within the lost and found. To this day, I truly believe that it was in my seeking to find the good in all 22 of my mothers that enabled me to begin to loosen the harness of self-doubt, shame, and all that hurt that was associated with the abuses I had experienced in life so far. The 21 mothers that were responsible for my care after the departure of mother number one, well, they either taught me what a mother should always represent, or they reminded me of how not all women are capable of the true honor of being called a mother. I shall never forget the moment, after 32 years of seeking, when an old neighbor called to inform me that, yes, she did in fact know the woman who could very well be my birth mother, the original, my very own Eve. The neighbor went on to tell me that she needed to call the woman first because she needed to ask if it was all right to give me the telephone number. After all, she said, not everyone wants to be found. Well, after 32 years, this was the moment when it dawned on me. It dawned on me that this entire quest, this adventure that had been so persistent, such a persistent part of my life, could very well have all been in vain if mother number one did not wish to be found. But this wouldn't be much of a story if that were true now, would it? Mother number one had kept her memory of me alive and vibrant for all of those 32 years. Mother number one did indeed wish to be found, and she opened the door to her past, her home, her heart, and to my original family, simply because she told me we were once one person. We shared over 20 wonderful years together before we were separated a second time in this life by her death, which for me came far too soon. In finding mother number one, I found so much of what life is truly all about. I found that family is based on love and not merely on blood. And I found that I was never truly lost. I was merely finding my way. When I found mother number one, I also lost some things. I lost the square root of much of the true sadness that had been in my life. I lost that relentless commentator that resided within me, the one who would broadcast one tragedy after another if I allowed him to do so. But most importantly, I lost the belief that my having 22 mothers was something to be ashamed of. I did not realize it then, but trust me, I do now. Each of these women played the role they were chosen to play in my life. None of the 22 ever truly had control over whether I belonged or not. That call would always be left up to me to make. It was when I broke out of the walls of self-judgment that I discovered my greatest truth of all, that not everyone has to remain lost.
Hi, I'm back. It's on the Town with Tanya that you're watching, and I'm here chatting with Loren Michaels Harris. And if you have never heard that before, I'm sure you are touched, because I was when I heard it. It's very powerful, and it's very inspiring is the word I'll say. So he's going to come back with us in a minute, but I want to share. Let's see. There we go. I don't know what happened to the Wi-Fi. It's a little windy over here, so forgive us. 1 second. Let's see.
Baby, you're drunk on it. No, the cop won't love you like I do. Baby, I know that we can't live in the past, but the past is all I see. And why you gotta make me wait? Why you give my love away every day? And she could probably take my place. She could probably take my. Yeah, I was willing to ride, but yeah, even praying to God, but even on God alone. 'Cause I'm choosing you instead. Yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hi, we are back here. It's me on the Town with Tanya, and I'm sorry about that. We are having wind over here. I don't know if anybody else is windy over here in where we're at in Westchester, but it's a little windy, so I don't know what happened there. But apologies. And we are chatting with.
Who's that singer?
Huh? That's Tatiana. That's my daughter, my younger daughter. Yeah.
Oh, she's great.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, she wrote it herself and she and sings. So she's an amazing artist. I try to plug when I can, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, I want her on my show.
Oh, yeah. Anytime. She has a lot of stuff. Yeah, definitely. We'll link that up. She's talented.
She really is.
That talented at 25. Hello. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I saw that video. Oh my gosh, how powerful is that? That's why I played the song after. So I was like, all right, breathe.
I tried to eat some caramel real quick before you came back. I couldn't do it. It started getting good in there. I was like,
Caramel?
Mhm.
You said caramel? Oh my gosh. Now you're making me run.
It was just a piece we went walking around. It was a beautiful day today. So we went walking around our town and went in one of those little shops and got little pieces. So that was my one little treat. It's gone.
That sounds heavenly.
I love your daughter.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for showing the video, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. No, I usually I try to put other artists in too, not just her. Don't just plug just my child.
Right.
But I try to plug new artists when I can find them. It's hard to find.
Excuse me.
Hard to find because everybody wants to do a cover. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Can we get some original things around here, please? So it's nice. But, the video now about how did you go about getting that gig? Like, how did they find you or you found them? Goldcast.
Well, Goldcast, they found me.
Okay.
Because I had already recorded that.
Mm-hmm.
That was at a high school gym.
Wow.
For something called "Listen to Your Mother,"
Mm.
where there were like 11 speakers, each telling their story of some connection with motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
And so, usually women,
Mm-hmm.
but they were auditioning men that year. And so I think, excuse me, woo,
It's okay.
that caramel girl. Good. I think there were 3 men
Mm-hmm.
nationally that year.
Mm-hmm.
Because different towns all over the country stage these.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I did it in Michigan, and they give you the recording after like 2 months, and then I threw it up on my YouTube channel, and Goldcast found it and said they wanted to produce it into that piece, that motivational story. Yeah.
Right.
And, yeah.
Absolutely inspiring. And it just, I don't know. I love stories like that because it lets you know, no matter what you're going through, look at me now. Like I am doing it. I'm out here helping others live their purpose, and that's when it's none of it's in vain. When you can look back, I help other people now. And because of me, other people are seeing their gifts and their talents. So kudos to you. Every time I hear, that's like my 3rd time listening to that, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I think I better stop now.
Well, it's like I'm glad it's out there for people. And there's so many. I just want to encourage anyone who's ever felt invisible, ever felt like the world had you and your message on mute, to be encouraged. And seek courage, and just always remember, I always have to ask myself, I have to remind myself when I get frustrated, because I still have moments of just overwhelming doubt about certain things and my own capabilities, or you doubt, am I able to handle the responsibility of what I'm really doing here? And and I'm grateful to be able to answer, no, I don't know. Right. Because that is why I need something greater than myself to believe in. Mm-hmm. Wherever I stop, it picks up and continues on my behalf and the behalf of this mission that we are co-authoring.
Where do you find this stuff? You come up with the best phrases that I've ever heard.
It's how it feels. I just speak it the way it feels because it is the way it is. And we create that. And our scars, we have to honor our scars. We must honor our scars. Absolutely. Because our scars are a magic carpet. Their first thing is we can prove to anyone that we understand the miracle of healing, because if it didn't heal, there wouldn't be no scar. That's why you look at your outer scars. I remember when I cut this finger. I was 9 years old, and it was on a window trying to sneak in and scare my mom after school one day.
Oh my gosh.
I was 9 years old. I had 13 stitches. I went to Pawading Hospital, and I ran out of the house, and it was David and Nikki, a new couple down the street who had a 3-month-old baby, who picked me up and threw me in their car and wrapped it. See, I know everything about it. You see, because that scar has a story.
Right.
So just like this scar does, so do the scars on my spirit. They have a story. And that is why it's there. It rides parallel to always remind us of our story. Because our fingerprints and DNA will leave one day, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But it is only our stories that will be able to stand behind everything we ever stood for thousands of years. Even when we've gone on to whatever is next, your stories will still be here.
That's right.
Yeah, so our stories are so important, and that's why your scars, those are the page turners in the story. You know what I'm saying? Those are the page turners.
Page turners,
right?
Yes.
Right. You're trying to live an Oscar-worthy life. Let your story be Oscar-worthy, history-worthy. Because you know this, Tanya, you included. All of us are literally writing history right now that people will learn from and heal through. For thousands and thousands of years. Right now, we're all underneath this umbrella, this pandemic. Look what we were just gone through.
That's what I was going to ask you about next. The pandemic has
the great equalizer, bringing everybody inside of their own personal awakening. It's all about ascension. It is time to level up, everyone, and use all your gifts.
All of them.
Understand all your blessings. Go back and reclaim all your birthrights and use everything through your ancestors. They saw you. I remember, I'm going to tell you something real quick. I'm going to just tell y'all. It was this year in 2021. I was standing out in my driveway. I'm standing out in my driveway. And the floodlights came on by these two trees. And I was like, oh. And suddenly, I was not in my driveway. Stay with me. I promise you this happened. I'm standing there, and there's two people right there, a guy and a girl. I can tell they're not a couple, but they're holding hands like this and facing each other. And they're beside a shack. And I can tell. So it's not a cabin because it's not round.
Right.
Log. It's like flat pieces, planks, and they're not even fitting together. You can see light through them and stuff. So I'm like, and their clothing, I'm like, and it wasn't even their clothing. It was the texture of their skin. The texture that, you know how you see a Caucasian person that's been in the sun a long time, and their skin has a texture.
Yes.
Well, this was like that, but I knew they were slaves. Like that, out from in the fields and working. It had a texture. And I was like, wow, look at that texture, right? And then I went back to listen to them, and the girl said to the guy, why would you do this? Why would you risk this again? You ran last time, and they caught you, and now you have 1 foot left. Why would you run again? Aren't you scared? He goes, no. She goes, aren't you scared of what happened before happening again? He said, no. She goes, how can you not be? He goes, because before I ran from something.
Mm.
He said, but this time I'm running towards something. He
Mm.
goes, last time I ran for me. He goes, but this time I'm running for someone else. And she said, who are you running for if you're not running for you? And he goes, and he took his hand and he went, I'm running for him. And when he pointed, she looked and I looked down the finger and I saw myself standing in the driveway.
Mm.
And it was so real.
Mm.
But I was afraid if I looked that way, they'd be looking, they could see me looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not kidding you.
Right. No,
That's when I got that blessing, that anointing that tells me there are ancestors who can see you and they can throw the blessing over the heads of the generations in between them and you, and it will land directly on you to get this purpose done that our ancestors have been working towards since the beginning, since the garden.
Can I tell you something? So, okay, don't think I'm totally nuts, but I cannot, I kid you not, that story parallels to something that happened to me. And people always say, well, how'd you get through this? And, the abuse and this and that, how'd you get through that? And I said, I don't know. But at some point I had a revelation with ancestors. I'm not even kidding. And
I know you're not.
I actually, it's weird, but I take on people's spirits. It's weird, not in a bad way.
Quit saying weird.
But I get in
That's the word that deceives. It is not weird. It is the gift of the spirit.
Yeah. But something
you know
happened.
What?
No, right.
Say, okay, it is not weird. Say it.
It's not weird.
Okay, there you go. I don't play with it, girl. I'm letting you know. Yes. I don't play with it.
I know, and I see that. I love it. I love it. But I actually still have this song that I still never worked on from a moment. Something happened. Was it September 11th? That was one thing, but something happened when I was younger, and I was in. I don't know if maybe I was in a history class, and it just brought up those ancestral memories. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure, but whatever it was, for 5 minutes, I literally.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Well, I'm gonna tell you this now. In purpose, then you can't just say, "I don't know what happened. I'm not sure," and leave that out there. Okay. Why do you think we're told to seek? Because you will find. If it's something you don't know, but you feel is inside this purpose, then it is your task to find out why.
Well, I found out why. That's what I'm getting to. So, okay, I'm saying it wrong, but I'm working with myself. So I just woke up with this hymn on my heart, and it was from one of the slaves. They were in the field, and she was singing, I ain't got time to waste. I've been here before, and I know my fate. They were like on a chain gang or something. I don't know. And I woke up, and this song, that hook has been in my head ever since. And the fact that whatever I'm going through, okay, these people laid away for me. I need to make sure I avenge their deaths. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I can never give up. Giving up was never an option for me.
Well, there you go.
Because of all that.
That's exactly the same thing.
Yeah. So thank you.
Because they get it to you. They threw it right.
Yes.
See, a lot of people dismiss that stuff.
Yes, they do.
Like it means nothing. And that's why I say when you say strange, see, the reason things mean nothing to people is because they've been groomed to chalk things up to coincidence.
Yes.
That could have happened to anybody. Whatever. Sure is strange. The weirdest thing happened. Right. Out of nowhere. Good as hell.
You hit them all.
None of those are true. What's good about hell? Girl, that macaroni and cheese good as hell.
You hit it all right on the head.
Why are you saying these things? Because we manifest. Right. Anything you say that you mean
comes out and will be actual.
It's manifest.
Yes.
So you can create these things. Because the people say, but and that's why a lot of people don't understand. So the promise says no weapon formed against you, but it does not say about weapons you form and say here.
Right.
Kill me with this. Here, take it. Right. No, really.
Right.
No, I insist.
Right.
And then when you're walking around, you wonder, you created it.
Right.
You gave it permission. So, but anyway, we are strong warriors. Foster kids, all kids that have been to all kids.
Yes.
All kids.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? All kids.
Yes. No, that is
about it.
That is a fact. And I believe, you know, everything that we go through in life anyway is definitely, we're only here to experience, whether that's good or bad or ugly or indifferent. We are here to experience, and what we do with that really is the ultimate factor. What are you
know
doing?
what happened to me a few years ago?
Go ahead.
I found the reason I'm so all kids is why I'm butting in like that was because, I mean, the allies. I had an ally when I was a foster kid in the older years, and when I was in a group home. I was smart, so I went to the public school, because before I went in the system, I was in private school, so I was ahead. So I didn't have to go like a lot of kids on site and all that, or go to the special ed classes and stuff. So I was able to go, but I still had that shaming, and nobody knew my secrets. You know, nobody knew my secret that I was in a group home. But my friend Fred saw it through the bushes somewhere, because I'd get off the bus miles from where I was supposed to, and go to walk through nice neighborhoods and cut through and stuff. So people thought I lived on Apple Valley Way. That was the street that I picked, because I was deathly afraid of someone finding. But anyway, he was my best friend, the only one who knew. And he lived in a mansion, and he took me there. And I mean, we were way up. His room was way up at the top of it. And he's a professor in Birmingham, Alabama now.
Wow.
Yep. And we reconnected. And I told him about it was like we were blood brothers.
Wow.
Even now, I went right down there the next weekend, and we reconnected, and we are just best of friends. I just want to say that, though, Tanya, because, you know, I don't ever want to forget how, you know, when I had an ally who was not a foster kid, but he treated me, and his family treated me just like any kid.
Right.
And that was so important that he kept us. Look, here we are, still friends today, 40 years later.
Yes.
That's, you know, I just want to put that piece out there, because, you know, man, I couldn't have made it sometimes back then. I needed that kind of, you know. Did you have somebody like that?
Absolutely. I have, just last night, I call him my godbrother, and everybody thinks he's my brother because we're that close. But his family was always, like, I can't even, in my whole little town here, I live in a small town, and I got to give them credit. No one even knew. I had to tell them I was a foster kid later. They really didn't know I was a foster kid, because my mom would never tell it unless she absolutely had to for some reason. And we weren't allowed to be like, oh, that's my foster so-and-so. You know, we developed that dialogue later. But then that was the distinguish between the birth family, once we found the birth family, and the foster family. But when I was growing up, you weren't allowed to be like, that's
Did
my
you
foster
tell people?
Huh?
When you were a kid in the system, did you tell strangers? Did you tell them I'm in foster care? Did you keep it a secret?
Only my best friends knew, and that was not. I don't have many of those, because I was pretty much, even though I was popular, I call myself still a loner. I was popular. I knew everybody because I played all the sports, and I was always center forward for volleyball, basketball, track team, you know, whatever they had going on, I was in it, because I had all them brothers to compete against, the foster brothers. But one thing I remember is my neighbors. I have, oh gosh, we were just talking about this yesterday. Some of my neighbors, like the Goodalls, the mother was a model, and she, you know, that's probably how I got into modeling, because I remember she was like a supermodel at the time, and she was beautiful. Oh, she looked like a Deborah Harry, but thinner and longer, you know.
Really?
If I had to put her in a family tribe, that would be the tribe, somewhere in there. But she was just gorgeous. She had her haircut was like, which is where I love this bowl haircut all the time. Just this thing. And she was to drive me around in her little, what was it, Turbo Saab 900. And she was like, you know, maybe she knew I was a foster kid. I don't know. But she would say to me, one day you're going to be a model, just like me. And the other kids would be jealous because she didn't take them for a ride.
Wait, hold on. You know, you better explain about it. This is funny that you say, and it really is funny that you say Turbo Saab. Yeah. I was just mentioning day before yesterday. I promise. I was going to use it on the show tomorrow.
Really?
Say, did anybody remember Saabs? Because I remember when I was in high school, I was like, that's when I get a Saab, I know I made it.
That's what I wanted.
I was like, I'm getting me a Saab, Turbo, right? And then they don't even have them now.
Yeah, right.
They went out of business or something.
I think so, because I haven't seen none of them ever.
Right.
Yeah, but that was the car only because, I mean, I didn't, at that time, it was like a Porsche at that time.
That wasn't it,
And
though?
I'm a little foster kid, African-American girl from Brooklyn originally. This is when I first had moved up here. So I'm like, woo, what is all this? Cars and bedrooms and oh, wow. Totally opposite of my birth home. And so she used to take me, and looking back, I wish she was alive for me to say something to her and just to give her a hug and say, thank you for loving me when I didn't even know I needed extra love. Because my foster mother was great, but you need the community. When you're a foster kid, you need not just a foster kid, but when you're a kid going through things like sexual abuse, mental abuse, abandonment, neglect, when you're going through those things, trauma, even if it's with your family. I got people that was being molested by their own birth family. So that don't matter. It's when you're a kid and you're going through stuff, you need that one person to say, hey, what's up, Loren? How are you today? What are you doing? And even if you just say nothing, it's somebody
be
paid attention.
Just an acknowledgement, no words attached.
Yes.
The smallest things. It's just, we just need to be, it doesn't cost to let somebody know you see them.
Thank you. And that's what I can say about my little community. I grew up here in Bedford Hills area, and my community, I gotta say, and they didn't even know I don't even know if they know what they were doing either. Because while we had a couple of people that were, but most people here were stellar, and didn't even know it. We go, my friend Eric, wherever you are, Eric Goodall, I love you forever. He now lives in Texas, but
Eric Goodall.
Yeah, this guy. I don't know how he started playing drums and guitar at such a young age, but he could play anything of Kiss, anything like replicate the whole thing. And so I wanted to be a rock and roll star because of him, right? Because I'm like, I didn't know any better, right? And he would tell me about all this. I knew so much about Kiss that more than any child should know, but much less an African American child from Brooklyn would know. But I can tell you anything on them to this day, sing songs, the whole nine. But he played the drums.
How long is Gene Simmons' tongue?
Well, ask Diana very long. No. Ask Diana very long.
Yeah, that was what was the thing when I was thinking about him. He was on all the posters, his tongue was half the poster.
Yes.
I was like, dang, real.
I remember. I still have one song here. My favorite song of theirs, believe it or not.
Okay, wait a minute. Beth. Remember they used to say he had a tongue extension, had tied. Remember that?
They tried it.
They were masterful with their costuming. Remember that?
The makeup. But this young kid, we were 7 years old. Eric Goodall, wherever you are, I hope you don't mind me saying your name. He put me on to this rock and roll thing that I went into this frenzy, which I never would have went because I'm originally from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, totally opposite. I probably would have never even heard that rock and roll until years later, right? So that's the first person. Him, and he'd have his friends around, and we'd all sit in their house and listen to this music. And then you have the neighbors' parents like, Tanya, what are you doing? I have one of my daughter's godmother. She's from Ecuador, and this is from I've been here 50 years. This is from 50 years ago. She would actually be in her house, and she'd be speaking to me in Spanish, and I'm supposed to know. And so eventually, I did pick up some because
that's why she kept.
I guess I better learn this because
or get left behind.
Yeah, or get left behind. Yeah. So people, the fact that she would sit down with me and we talk about the Bible, little things that people think are nothing are so important to somebody who's going through trauma, stress, or drama. You know what I'm saying? It's so important to be acknowledged. And I felt like a lot of people here in my town, even when I didn't want to be acknowledged, because when you're abused, you try to do all this and you cover it all up, people would always, hey, Tanya, what are you doing? You want to come play tennis? Hey, Tanya, what are you doing? You want to do this? So somebody was always acknowledging that I existed, and I really appreciate that. I try my best. I'm not perfect, but I try my best to live like that purposely now. Every time I see a kid, especially the quietest and the shyest one, I say, hey, how are you doing today? You have a great day. I love you, or so-and-so. You're doing great. It's just that one thing can really matter. I had one English teacher that stayed on me because I was the worst. I hated checking anything, and I still probably do. But she was insistent. She said, you have a gift and you're going to learn to do this the right way. And she would get on me and I was like, oh, here we go. But I never forgot her. Never forgot. I'm friends with her on Facebook now. Yeah. Never forgot her because she stopped all the kids in the room. And this was a class I was in because they thought I probably was special needs, but I wasn't. But she recognized this you have something and you need to recognize it, you know,
Yeah.
and because she stopped is the only reason why I'm a writer today. I write screenplays. You know, I'm still trying to sell some, but I write screenplays. I love writing. I love theater. I love all the stuff that she showed me. Listen, you're not dumb, because I used to think, oh, something's wrong with me. She said, no, you're a visual learner. So the teacher's
That's
not
a great point.
right. She understood all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tanya, I just want to thank you. It's been a great hour.
Thank you very much.
Yes. You know, thank you for coming on my show, and
Yes.
I love your audience, and I love what you do, and so
we are forever connected, my friend. Forever
absolutely.
connected. And if everybody wants to reach out to Loren Michael, here we go. I put up the website again.
Yep.
LorenMichaelsHarris.com. That's right. And don't
forget, say hi.
Yes, don't forget April 28th, right? Power Symposium.
Get your tickets. Get over to Eventbrite. Yep.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Thank you.
I thank you. And guys, it is that time. I can't believe it already. And we will see you back here again next week. All righty. Thank you. Bye.